It's time for another episode of Tesla Stock Hates You. I'm just playing. Tesla stock was down 2.3% in regular trading on Friday. You were up almost 0.5% in after hours on Friday, and Tesla stock looks pretty good. But here in this video, I will discuss my expectations for Tesla stock coming over the next few weeks. And if you've been watching this channel for the last couple of days at least, you would know I'm actually pretty dang bullish on Tesla for the next couple of weeks. Now, we also have a couple pieces of news to go over. I want to share the sentiment around Tesla stock from institutions, both on Wall Street and judging retail investor sentiment. And we're going to take a look at option activity, short interest, all of it. So buckle up, get ready, and let's get started. So first things first, it is being reported that the Tesla Model Y is the best-selling SUV in China year to date from January through August, selling what looks like 292,000 units of the Model Y in China alone. Elon Musk met with the president of El Salvador today at Tesla's Giga Texas factory. Quote, "It was a pleasure to spend several hours talking with one of the great minds of our time." I'm not sure the purpose of this or what this implies, but I'm sure it does imply some kind of collaboration efforts. And Elon Musk is being faced with more lawfare. The SEC said today it intends to seek sanctions against Elon Musk after he failed to appear for testimony in the regulator's probe into his acquisition of Twitter. Musk was busy overseeing the launch of SpaceX's Polaris Dawn mission that day, which had already been postponed several times due to adverse weather conditions. Elon Musk is the CEO and the chief engineer of SpaceX. Elon Musk actually responds to this post and says, "This was our highest risk astronaut mission ever, and I have responsibility for their safety. The weather constraints on this mission are also extremely high and only cleared that night. I had to make a go versus no-go decision. Their lives came first." And even though the Model Y is the best-selling SUV over in China year to date, the BYD Seagull EV sold 46,830 cars in August in China, making it the country's best-selling vehicle regardless of power source. It starts around $10,000. It's the size of a Chevy Bolt EV and has 4 doors and a 30 kilowatt-hour battery with 190 miles of WLTP range. Let me know if that's something that you would consider buying. 190 miles of range, $10,000, something the size of a Chevy Bolt. I would love your thoughts on that down below in the comment section. But the Tesla Model Y is very close to becoming the #1 best-selling vehicle in the US for the first time ever, according to new data from Experian. Through Q2, the Model Y, I'm getting ahead of myself here, Model Y had 2.8% market share, its highest share ever, up from 2.6% in Q1, and just a hair below the Toyota RAV4. Gary Black writes on X, "Tesla similarities between 2019 and 2024 are striking. Tesla Q shorts should listen up." He says in 2019, Tesla was gearing up for a launch of the Model Y, a CUV that would essentially double Tesla's TAM. This stands for Total Addressable Market. The shorts believed Tesla Model Y was just a bigger Model 3 and thought horrendously that the Model Y volumes would all come from Model 3. In hindsight, the shorts failed to realize Model Y vaulted Tesla into the hot-selling CUV category, where it quickly became the #1 seller. In 2025, Tesla will similarly enter the compact category with its $25,000 to $30,000 EV, which will again usher in a whole new Tesla total addressable market. Shorts again wrongly believe the Tesla compact will cannibalize the Model 3, even though Model 3 competes in the affordable sedan segment. As with the Model Y, Tesla will sell every Tesla compact it makes, and earnings estimates will again run ahead of the stock price as they did in 2020, pushing the stock price higher. In 2019, Tesla stock rose 26% versus the NASDAQ rising 38%. In 2024, Tesla is down 4% year to date, and the NASDAQ is up 20%. Nothing in 2019 could have prepared Tesla investors for what happened in 2020 when Tesla rose 742% versus the NASDAQ's 48% gain. As 2020, Tesla earnings and estimates exploded higher, up 84% in 12 months, behind the success of the Model Y. The same phenomena, positive earnings revisions driving Tesla stock price higher, could occur in 2025 when the $25,000 to $30,000 Tesla Compact is released. But there are many people that are saying the $25,000 to $30,000 compact Tesla may just be scrapped in its entirety, and Tesla is going to opt to focus on robotaxi, which I think would be a mistake. I think Tesla is perfectly capable of creating a $25,000 to $30,000 EV and also focus intensely on the robotaxi network. I just hope Tesla never tries to push a compact two-seater. That would be a terrible idea. But it wouldn't surprise me if 2025 did turn out to be a really good year for Tesla. After all, the charts look pretty constructive. There's nothing in the charts or the technicals that would suggest that 2025 is going to be a rocky year. The biggest potential issue that I see is valuations for the broader markets and the recession risk that is out there. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if we do have a little bit more time than we think to accumulate Tesla. And what I mean by this is with S&P 500 EPS growth rates expected to be 18%. That is the best expected EPS growth rate since 2018 was the last time we had a better growth rate than that. And before that was 2010, coming out of the great financial crisis. Like, markets are priced for perfection and there's no recession risk priced in. If it looks like we are heading into a recession at some point over the next couple of months, markets will fall a lot and Tesla stock will fall a lot as well. That is going to be the last buying opportunity, I believe, in Tesla stock. Again, as long as the robotaxi event is not a failure, and as long as Tesla gives us guidance for the robotaxi event, hopefully guidance for that in 2025 would be nice. And as long as Tesla does not cancel the $25,000 to $30,000 compact Tesla, then I think 2025, at least the second half of the year, after we get some kind of freak out, recession, worry, crash like event, is going to be a really good year for Tesla. I think 2026 is Tesla's golden year. I think that is definitively when we will see the robotaxi launch, if we don't see it by next year. And I do think that's when sales should be starting to ramp up again. I do think by 2026, people are going to feel more comfortable with prices where they are, with the cost of living where they are. There's one thing we kind of have to acknowledge with these inflationary cycles. Wages are nowhere close to keeping up to inflation. Okay, so people feel like they're just drowning. Well, give it some time, let wages start to somewhat catch up to the cost of living increases, and people will feel more comfortable going out and spending more money. But this is a process and it does take time. So yes, 2025 could be a great year. I'm more optimistic about the second half of the year than I am the first half of the year. But 2026, I mean, as long as we don't get some kind of exogenous event, another banking crisis or a big financial institution blowing up or something like 2007, then I'm very optimistic about 2026 and really the second half of 2025, because theoretically, if Tesla is going to launch the robotaxi network, it's going to be in the second half of 2025. Okay, it's not going to be in the first half of 2025. That is way too optimistic. If anyone believes that, that's not true. At least the second half of 2025. And by then, we should have some deliveries really starting for the lower price compact Tesla vehicles. By then, the Lathrop Megapack factory, the new one, is going to be, cranking out Megapacks. By then, we're going to have the semi factory complete. Like, the second half of 2025 and 2026 it's going to be really good for Tesla. Now, why I'm pointing this out is because you could take full advantage of that now, and with the next big dip that we get, potentially go shopping if that's something that you were interested in. Personally, I hope Tesla stock falls 50% from here. That would be like the best gift possible, and I would love that because that would take Tesla stock back to about $119 per share, and I think that's probably, you know, a foolproof price. I mean, you make money when you buy a stock. If you could really buy Tesla at those levels ever again, I think you'd want to jump on that opportunity as fast as possible. And that's what I'm hoping for, although I don't think we'll get 50% downside. Eventually, when the recession fears kick in, at least 30% downside back to that 160 level is definitely on the table. With that said, option activity on Friday was quite positive. You had 30 different trades totaling $9.4 million with a positive order value of 83%. If you take a look at the short interest for Tesla, it's done some very weird things recently. It was around 2.96%. It jumped up to 3.25%. Now it's back down to 2.87%. It's very hard to understand what's going on with the short interest. It looks like a big short took on a large short position heading into the Fed. And then it looks like they covered that pretty quickly once they realized markets were taking the Fed as bullish. So I think that's what happened, but it's hard to know for sure. You do have $19.42 billion currently sold short in Tesla stock, totaling 79.64 million shares. You have return shares on Friday of 1.03 million and borrowed shares of 1.87 million. So that indicates about 844,000 shares that were actually sold short on Friday on net. Sentiment for Tesla as of today is neutral at 48. That's not surprising considering it's the weekend and most people like to enjoy their weekends and not, think about markets. Sentiment yesterday was bullish at 61. Message volume today is low at 43. Yesterday it was high at 65. Again, not uncommon. And the participation ratio today is high at 55. The latest action we have from Big Money was Guggenheim that raised their price target on Tesla from $134 per share to $153 per share. Canaccord Genuity that reiterated their buy rating on both September 13th and September 16th, reiterating their $254 price target, and Cantor Fitzgerald that reiterated their hold position on Tesla with a $245 price target also on September 16th. We also did have someone that removed their sell recommendation on Tesla. So Tesla went from 11 sells, 19 holds, and 18 buys. Now Tesla is at 10 sells, 19 holds, and 18 buys. So somebody took away their sell recommendation. That actually did raise the average analyst price target from $208.94 up to $211.47. And that happened yesterday. Tesla continues to run about 4,000 different ads with Google. Global inventory numbers for Tesla seem to be declining quite a bit now. The Model 3's on a downward slope. 4,300 vehicles in inventory. Same's true for the Model X and the Model S. The Model X has 3,500 vehicles in inventory, and the Model S has about 2,400 vehicles in inventory. The Model Y has 6,200 vehicles in total global inventory. The percent of stocks currently trading above their 50-day moving average on Friday fell to 62.71%, down about 4.4%. Meaning 4.4% of stocks on Friday fell below their 50-day moving average. Not a great day at all. Not a terrible day, though. It's kind of just a bad day, but not terrible. CNN's Fear and Greed Index is at 63, which is almost exactly in the middle of the greed, barometer. The day before, on Thursday, you were at 65, so sentiment did fall a little bit on Friday as expected, but you're still looking overall pretty good. Google Trends data for the Tesla lineup is really not reacting at all. It's just staying pretty stable. Cybertruck at 47, Model Y at 22, Model 3 at 21, Model S at 10, and the Model X at 8. So like I said in prior videos, I think the next couple of weeks, markets are on a bit of a sugar high, and I do think with Tesla's Robotaxi event on October 10th, I would be surprised if we don't see a larger rally heading into that, as long as the economic data next week does not come in bad, showing some kind of, slowdown or larger slowdown that is occurring. Specifically, any data that has to do with the consumer and the consumer spending habits is going to be very important to markets. And first up, we have durable goods orders on Thursday, expecting a negative about 2.8%. Last month was positive 9.9% though, so that's not bad. You do have Powell that speaks on Thursday as well. I do think the goal of the Fed right now is to drop 10-year treasury yields, longer duration treasury yields, to give more accommodation to the economy. And they failed to do that with the 50 basis point cut last week. So I do think that's kind of their mission in these speeches. We seen that on Friday with Fed Waller that said inflation's going to come in really low for next month. And that did, drop 10-year treasury yields at least a little bit, but I think the Fed wants more of that. On Friday of next week, you have personal income and personal spending, expecting some pretty solid numbers there, especially personal income expected to rise from last month 0.3% up to 0.4%, and personal spending is expected to come in at 0.3%. That is lower than last month's 0.5%, but still a pretty healthy overall number. But the risk is for equities, if durable goods or personal spending comes in lower than expected, then people are really going to start asking that recession question again, and that will lead to downside in markets. Although, as I've said for weeks now, I'm really not concerned about the economic data coming out from now until the election. I think after the election in November, December, January, February, March of 2025 is when things are going to get a little bit more dicey for markets. And at some point in that period in time, that's when the recession question will really start to come up again. But let me know what you think about this information down below in the comment section. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.